Am I looking at the right table here?
What?
Am I looking at the right table?
Yes, you're looking at that table here. Killian, well. Good luck tonight. I'll be fighting with an arm behind my back. Evening to Killian. Thanks for tuning in, Killian. Hit that follow button. That'll
So
bring me up.
it's you, Green Pies, Gary, Mazda, Emo Guy, yes?
Yeah, I can see your thing at the top of the page. I can see where you're looking at the square. So yeah, you're on to.
Alright.
Top of the thing, it should have the Simplay logo, meaning that I'm looking at the same page as you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Simplay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and we are live once again here for the next round of the F1 Championship. And we've got an interesting round for you here at, as you see there, interesting emoji there of a Pikachu. So I'm not sure if that was what we were meant to see. But nonetheless, we are live here for the Austrian Grand Prix here at the Red Bull Ring. And what an interesting day of racing we have ahead of us here. As we see Gary 131 exiting the pits, so I try and find some information about the Red Bull Ring. Formerly used to be known as the A1 Ring. In the, I believe it's Spielberg, Austria, and the track consists of 10 corners. It was opened in 1969 and reopened in 2011. Was closed in 2003. FIA Grade 1, and the National is an FIA Grade 2. Capacity of 40,000 people. And currently the lap record is actually held by Carlos Sainz Jr. in the McLaren in 2020 with a 1 minute 05.6. Can these guys match that? And we will see how they get on this evening. A smaller version of the original track, and like I said, used to be known as the A1 Ring, but we are here for the Red Bull Ring. And at the minute, Gary is the first man out on track. Evening to the 15 people who are currently watching. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Hit the bell to be notified for when we are live. But this is your championship standings as it stands. Matimovic leads the way from Green Pies in second place, who's actually got a quali ban. And I'm not sure why he is out on track. I guess he's just getting a feel for the car. So he should be coming into the pits this lap. Green Pies is on a quali ban, as he looks like he is entering the pits here. He does so he is obeying to his quali ban. Gary's in third place in the championship with Mazda in fourth. Fifth is Emo Guy. Sixth is Sutty. Seventh is PN Motorsport. Eighth is Monkey Boy. Ninth is Fury. 10th is D-Biggs. 11th is DJ Phil. 12th is the Mutts Nuts. 13th is KLF 900. 14th is Argent, 15th is A Smith, 16th is Go 10 Duffin, 17th is Leon Fernie, 18th is Rabbit Joe, 19th is a Bryn, and bringing up the rear at the minute is Bryn. So Leon Fernie sets the pace of a 1:05.3. And is it me? Does that look like it's rain? There is rain. So the first laps are the most important laps right now. And both McLarens are in the pits right now. The Mutt-Nuts out on track as well. We don't seem to have Mazda at this stage at this minute. So hopefully Mazda should be able to get into the session. But Matt sets the pace of a 1:05.1 now. I was doing a little bit of practice with these guys just before they joined in, and I managed to pop in a 1:04, so the lap time is doable, but they need to get on with it very quickly as we're on board with the Mutt-Nuts as he comes through the middle sector now. I think he's behind the Mercedes. Oh, no, he's not behind a Mercedes, he's behind an Aston Martin. I believe that might be Gary 131. The wet conditions are slowly coming into effect here, so the first couple laps are very important, and the guys who are currently in the pits need to get that lap time done. Yellow flag in the final sector, but the Mutt-Nuts exits the final corner. Is this going to put him on provisional pole? No, it only puts him in 9th, as we will get the track map on board. So we've got PM Motorsport and Leon Fernie all coming into the pits. We've got a couple of cars in the final sector here. I believe that's the Mercedes of Bryn coming up into the final sector, and also the Alpine of D Biggs. Looks like all these guys are coming into the pits as they do so, but D Biggs carries on, crosses the line. Does he improve his lap time? He will stay 5th. Let's go on board with D Biggs into turn 1 as we do a lap here of the Red Bull Ring. A little bit wide there on exit. He gets the DRS and he heads up to turn 2. Technically this is turn 2 by the MotoGP lot, but it's actually not a corner registered by the F1s. Into turn 2, braking at the 50-meter board, making sure you don't go too wide, and then he's dropped the rear there as he comes up to the hairpin. I believe another car is coming up. We are on board with Fury in the McLaren, and he's running out of time to get a lap time in. The best of the conditions are probably gone as D Biggs returns back on track as Green Pies has retired from the session. So Fury comes now down into turn 3, just braking between 100 meter and 50 meter. When it's dry, you could probably brake at 50 meter. He exits turn 3 and then heads around this long right-hander into the left-hander, braking at 50. Really slow corner here. You want to be cautious of going on the power. Into turn 5. Make sure you get a good run out of turn 6, and then a beautiful run up the hill. It's been a while since we've been at the Red Bull Ring, since the first race of the GT3s, as we go through the fast left right-hander of turn 8, then into turn 9. And Fury does a beautiful job as he exits final corner to start his outlap, but he is on a flyer here. As you've got a yellow flag in the final sector, that's D Biggs coming into the pits as Rabbit Joe is also on a lap. Fury really sideways on exit there. Really hanging it out sideways. Guys, let's hear you in the comments. Who you think's going to take pole position? A reminder that Green Pies is on a qualifying ban. Fury lighting up the times at the minute. He's purple sector 1. We'll stay on board with Fury. Is he going to go fastest overall? That is the question. A couple other guys coming through the final sector here. Sutty, one of them on a lap into the final corner. Sutty doing a fantastic job, and every time he's appeared, he exits the final corner. He's got a Red Bull, a DJ Phil right behind him as well. Sutty crosses the line. He does a 1:14.5. Not the best lap time from him. A. Smith towards the line. What does he do? He doesn't improve. Now we want to find Fury. He was purple first sector. Is he going to be purple middle sector? We don't know. The wet conditions are coming in now. This is Fury's one and only shot here. He needs to nail the final corner. As Jamie Brazy in here comments, evening all, Mummy D in the evening, good evening all, and hello, says Embrava. Fury towards line at only a 1:08.5. It's too wet now, I think. All the best conditions have gone here. As Fury goes a little bit wide in turn 1, a lot better through turn 1 though. As Rabbit Joe only goes into 12th place with a 1:09.5. So not what he would have wanted either. A. Smith currently on a lap time. And I think Leon Fernie is coming towards the end of his lap here as he comes into the final corner now. As Fury's granddad in the comments saying, evening all, good luck everyone, and come on Fury. Fury's mum's in the chat as well with her hangover saying evening all and good luck everyone. As Leon Fernie doesn't improve, he stays in second place. Sutty coming across the line, goes a 1:09, doesn't improve. There's a yellow flag in the final sector. Who is that? I believe that's Argent who's going slow. But the wet conditions here really affecting these guys now. They won't improve on their lap times. Fury opts to bail and goes into the pits. And as it stands, it's Matt on pole position once again. I think the best of the conditions are probably gone. The two Mercedes here, there's another car off. That's D Biggs, he's off in the middle sector. There's a few guys coming here. Jamie Brazier, Leon Fernie on the front row. He had a difficult time in the GT3s, but hopefully he's learned a bit of what happened earlier on and has taken it to the track, as Mazda is now into the session. He will not get a qualifying time in, but hopefully he should be able to get into the race as Leon Fernie comes into the pits. And I believe that will be your qualifying done, really. Matt Imovic on pole with Leon Fernie in second, Gary in third, and the PM Motorsport in fourth. So it's Aston Martin versus Ferrari. D Biggs in fifth. Kieran Argent currently in sixth place position with the Mutts Nuts in seventh. A Smith in eighth. Ninth is Bryn. 10th place is Goten Duffin. Both Mercedes working alongside each other. I think Goten's gone on the slicks and he's still staying out, trying to do lap times. Oh, he nearly drops it there. Good catch from Goten Duffin there. It's Fury in 11th place. Rabbit Joe in 12th. Sutty in 13th. And DJ Phil bringing up the rear of the grid. Green Pies in 15th. And also Mazda joining the session now. Goten Duffin has retired. He's dropped it in the final sector. First sector he's dropped it. And DRS has been disabled. And I think that's the best of the weather. As we see there, Bryn just drops it there. The wet conditions really sticking into effect. And PM Motorsport saying Aston Ferrari. Can we have that in the actual season this season? That would be absolutely amazing. But right now, currently watching Bryn out on track, and look how much he's struggling with those slicks. Gary's going back out onto the Inters to kind of test the conditions and get a feel. A couple other guys are coming out as well. I believe that is Fury on an outlap as well. Is he on slicks? He's still on slicks. So fair play to him being on the slicks. But Gary's dropped it even on the Inters. So there really is a lack of grip out there. So this is going to be an interesting race if it stays dry. A few of the drivers were hoping for a bit of wet weather, and by the looks of things, it has come. So Gary on the Inters right now. What can he do? A lot of people now coming back out on track, and I believe they're just testing the intermediates. That's Fury on the slicks, and he's just struggling to get back to the pits. There's definitely no point going out on the slick tyres now. It's too wet for them. As you see there, Fury just understeers off and into the grass and gravel. He's got an AlphaTauri coming up behind him of A. Smith, who's on the Inters. The only thing that would be beneficial now is just getting information and data. PM Motorsport goes through turn 1, and he's currently on the Inter tyre right now. What can he produce here? So there is your current lap time gaps at the minute. Leon Fernie only a 10th off of Matt, or 2/10 off of Matt, but with the best of the conditions gone now, not really much more we will get out of this. So guys, if you haven't done so, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And make sure you tune in a couple weeks time, as the World Endurance Championship will return to Simplay Motorsport. We will be heading live to Japan once again for Fuji, the night race of the World Endurance Championship. 6 hours at Fuji. Can I stop Ben Parkey from winning every LMP2 race? Can Exmar do it as well? And can Mazda and Andy have a great fight for the bottom, the top end of the GTE Championship? Right now we're still on board with PM Motorsport, who's just trying to get the idea of the wet conditions. He comes across the line. What is his lap time? Of 13.9. He's 7 seconds off the pace, and Gary starts his lap time on the Inters. Matt obviously opting to stay into the pits. He's not wanting to test the wet conditions out. Who else is currently out on track? DB is currently setting a lap time. He's 1.8 off the pace. And again, just due to the wet conditions here, no DRS to help either. He's 7 seconds off the pace now. So again, these guys just getting a little bit of testing in, get a little bit of feel of how their car feels if it's going to rain. For all we know, it could be dry. And if any of the guys are in the pits and watching the stream, i.e. PN or Matt or anyone who's streaming, can anyone let me know what the weather conditions is looking like? D-Biggs does a 15.9 in the wet. So it's going to be an interesting race nonetheless if we have this wet weather condition lingering around. He's got a yellow flag in sector 1. D-Biggs has dropped it in sector 1. What's happened here? He's had a big moment. He's been into the wall. So not what Biggs probably would have wanted at this stage of qualifying. So there is that stricken Alpine. It'll be recovered very shortly. He's only got a couple of minutes left of this session. And make sure you tune in this week, guys, as the GT3s will be returning on Wednesday and Thursday night, as we will be heading to New Zealand for Ruapuna Park for the next round of the GT3 Championship. And he's got a secure lead of the championship after penalties been handing out to some of the drivers in the Pro. But the Pro-Am looks the way of Matt's leading the championship. Emprava not too far behind, trying to give him some pressure towards the end. Can Emprava continue his winning streak here? That is the question. As Matt will look like he's going to take his 6th pole position. Sprint now starts a lap here at the Red Bull Ring as he goes really wide. Car bounces and he loses traction as he comes back on track. And Brent is now heading up to turn 2. And let's have a look at the conditions here. It's very wet here at this stage of qualifying. No one's really going to improve lap times. It's all about learning the track. As we go on board with A. Smith, who's starting to get the hang of. Oh, a late entry into the pits there. Kieran Argent just misses the apex by quite a bit there. Go on board with Sati Apex. And Brava saying of course he can. Fury's granddad in the comments with the raining emoji. For now it's wet, but who knows what it's going to be for the race. Sati going through the middle sector, and look how wet the conditions are at this stage. It's not too bad, but typical Austria Red Bull Ring, the rain comes into the forest. What can Sati do tonight in that McLaren? He's going to be starting near the back. There's all sorts of chaos could happen into turn 1. Good evening everyone, says Peaceful Stepdad. Let's hope for a great night of racing. Fingers crossed emoji. Nice to have you in the comments, Peaceful Stepdad. Let's see what these boys can do in these conditions, as Sati and Argent are the only two currently on track. Everyone else opting to pit. So I believe these two will be the only ones left to finish their lap times. As I see Argent probably losing traction in the rear. So guys, get your prediction on who you think is going to take the win here tonight at the Red Bull Ring. Will it be a Red Bull or an AlphaTauri, or will it be a completely different manufactured car? We are looking at Matt Imovic, Leon Fernie, Gary 131 and PM Motorsport, an Aston Martin and a Ferrari fight at the front row. And Sati Apex comes through the final sector and he opts to pit. He is done for the session. So who is left? Argent is on a lap as well in the Red Bull. And the only man left out on track is Argent, as DJ Phil has come back out. I'm not sure why Phil has come back out, but Argent crosses the line and heads up to turn 1. So the session is pretty much done. And it is Mate Imovic who will take pole position here tonight at the Red Bull Ring. Even though it was looking a little bit bleak for him in the practice session we were doing earlier on, as Argent just dropped it and parked it into the wall. So everyone pretty much into the pits, bar the Red Bulls. Obviously just getting a bit of extra sponsorship due to the fact that it is the Red Bull Ring. So they're just putting on a little bit of a show right now for their home crowd. And let's see what these boys can do as DJ Phil now comes into the pits. But your running order is Matt Ahimovic on pole position with Leon Fernie in second, Gary in third, fourth is PN Motorsport, in fifth place is D-Big, sixth is Kieran Argent, seventh is the Mutts Nuts, eighth is Smith, ninth is Bryn, 10th is Go10 Duffin Fury in 11th, 12th is Rabbit Joe, 13th is Sutty and DJ Phil in 14th. Mazda will start 15th and Green Pies will start 16th place after its qualifying ban. And that is your qualifying session done, as the Kieran Argent is now into the pits. Guys, get your prediction on who you think is going to take the win here at the Red Bull Ring, as DJ Phil has carried on doing his lap time. I thought he was opted into pit. He was testing pit in and pit out. So as he comes through the middle sector there, I was hoping he was going to go into the pits, as that is the session over. And as I said, it's Matt who is on pole position here tonight for the Red Bull Ring. What can he do with his main rival dropped to the back of the grid after spinning across the line at Canada? He won't be doing that again for sure. But Matt is on pole position. Leon Funny will start second with Gary 131 in third. Fourth is PM Motorsport. Fifth is Biggs. Sixth is Kieran Argent. Seventh is the Mutts Nuts. Eighth is A Smith. Ninth is Bryn. 10th is Go10 Duffin. 11th is Fury. 12th is Rabbit Joe. 13th is Sutty Fury in 14th. Then Mazda and Green Pies brings up the rear as well. What weather is forecast here at the Red Bull Ring? Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Please spread the stream around. Let's get as many people in here as we possibly can, and hit that bell to be notified for when we are live. And at the minute, guys, it's looking rather dry, so hopefully these guys have got a setup all sorted and ready for the race ahead. Get your votes in on who you think is going to take the win here tonight. I've already done pole position, that's Matt. Get your prediction on who you think is going to take the win. It should be an interesting and fascinating race ahead of us. 71 laps around this beautiful circuit. As the red lights come on as we start the formation lap. As the Ferraris have a little boggy start. So it is Matt Ahimovic who will start on pole with Leon Fernie in second, Gary 131 in third, fourth will be PN Motorsport, fifth is D-Big, seventh is Argent, seventh is the Mutts Nuts, eighth is A Smith, ninth is Bryn, 10th is Go10 Duffin, 11th is Fury, 12th is Rabbit Joe, Sutty will start in 13th, DJ Phil will start 14th, Mazda in 15th, and bringing up the rear is Green Pies, as Aiden says, hi, how are we all? We're doing fantastic, Aiden, and we're looking forward to a good night's worth of racing. We've just seen the strategy there for Matt. It would have been soft, medium for himself. And a little bit of a fun fact for you, in the practice session we were doing, Matt was really struggling and actually lost to his younger son, Go10 Duffin, known as Floyd. Actually beat him here in the little test session that we did. So Floyd's going to be feeling rather confident here, and he's got a good idea of how his car is going to feel in the race. But you see there, Fury opting to go on the medium tyre, Sutty going on to the hard, as we will get the displays up right now. Let's see if we can find out the tyre options. So Argent's going to start on the medium, Fury starting on the medium, and Sutty on the hards. Everyone else has opted for the softs, as D-Biggs backs the pack up. But it is Aston Martin versus Ferrari for the start of this race. Somehow Matt has ended up at the back of this train. Who do you think is going to take the win here as the Aston Martins line up together one by one? The Ferraris will line up one by one as we look like we're going to have a 3-stop race here for PN Motorsport as we're about to get underway here at the Red Bull Ring. As the lights come on, the reds rise. We're about to get underway. 5 lights. And it's green here at the Red Bull Ring, and it looks like Matt got a decent start, but Gary with an absolute flyer is looking down the inside of turn 1. A couple of guys in the back also struggling, PM struggling, but it's Gary into turn 1. Matt taking a wide exit there and is allowing his teammate up into first place. So it's Aston Martin 1-2, but there's chaos in the background. There's absolute chaos in the background. I'm not sure who that is. That is Kieran Argent, who's currently out of this race as a 5-second penalty has been given to D Biggs for causing the collision. He's lost the front wing. And Kieran Argent is out. Goten Duffin with a warning as well. And Mazda also. All these guys getting caught up in the incident. Now D Biggs is out. He's now crashed out. Goten Duffin's out of the session as well. Full-blown safety car now. I'm not sure what's happened there. But all sorts of chaos here at the Red Bull Ring. And we've lost 3 cars already at the start of this race. But Gary 131 gets the jump and takes the lead of this race with Matimovic in second. Third is Leon Fernie. The Mutsnuts has moved himself up into 4th. 5th is Bryn. 6th is PN Motorsport. A Smith has managed to stay in 7th place with Green Pies already up to 8. Fury in 9th. 10th is Sutty with no front wing. DJ Phil in 11th place. Rabbit Joe in 12th. And Mazda in 13th place brings up the rear as Mazda's driver for some reason doesn't have a helmet, which is nice. As a few of the guys are into the pits. A Smith is 1, Sutty is another. Also DJ Phil and Mazda, all these guys are in for. All these guys are in for a pit stop, probably a front wing. But it is Gary this time who leads the way. So now Gary gets to opt to choose when he wants to go. And Matt is going to have to sit and wait for him. The good thing is the 2 Aston Martins working together here at the front of the pack. How many front wings can Gary get away with tonight? That is the question. Sutty has come off the hards and onto the mediums. Mazda's moved to the hards, as the rest of the guys are sticking to the softs. So you're running after lap 1 chaos. It's Gary who leads the way with Matimovic in 2nd, Leon Fernie in 3rd, the Mutsnuts in 4th, Bryn in 5th place position, 6th is PN Motorsport, 7th is the Alfa Romeo of Green Pies, 8th is Fury, 9th is Rabbit Joe, in 10th place position is A Smith, 11th is DJ Phil, 12th is Sutty, and Mazda brings up the rear. And already we have absolute chaos here at the Red Bull Ring, but it is an Aston Martin 1-2, but not the usual way we usually see it. It's Gary 131, a 2-time champ in GT3s, leading the way with his teammate in 2nd, the current championship leader, but these 2 both fighting still for the championship. Gary's still mathematically in it, and he needs to crawl some wins and points back to get in the game here. But Leon Fernie there in 3rd place, having a much better showing. And the Mutsnuts also having a good start to his race. Bryn in 5th. All these guys getting really close to each other under the safety car. It looks like we are all lined up. Hopefully we can get underway and racing. Safety car is in this lap. So we will now cut to Gary, who will control the pace here at the Red Bull Ring. Can we see an Aston Martin 1-2 today? And which way round will it be? As Gary holds the pace up, he controls the pace, he decides when he wants to go. The Mercedes SLS is just around the corner, going down towards the penultimate corner here. He's taking his time to get to the pits, and Gary's gone. Gary's opted to go straight away. Oh no, he's lifted. It looks like he's just catching a few people out there, as few of them think we're underway, and Gary has gone. He runs very wide out the final corner, but Gary now restarts this race here, and Gary is on the move. As you see there, oh, we've had a big moment there, a couple of front wings damage. There's Bryn fighting it out with Green Pies, and Green Pies goes down the inside and gets the job done. Fury is right on the back of Bryn as well. Bryn looking to try and make a move on Green Pies. He's coming back at him here. We're on board with Fury, as Fury is watching all this unfold as Bryn look to the inside and is going to go down the inside, and Fury hits Green Pies in the rear, and Bryn has got past Green Pies once again, but Green Pies is coming back on the attack as they're also trying to fight PN Motorsport as well. As three abreast as they go down to turn 3. Bryn rubbing doors with Green Pies, but he gets the job done. But Bryn comes back down the inside and pushes Green Pies wide. PN Motorsport going wide onto the gravel. He's still battling it out as Matt has dropped it, I think. No, Leon Fernie's made a mistake somewhere. PN Motorsport with a penalty there, as Green Pies is already flying his way through the pack, as Bryn is lost out to Green Pies and he looks to try and regain these positions. Green Pies is now on the move as Gary extends his lead. Fury is into the pits as we go on board with the Ferrari of Leon Fernie, who is trying to defend from Green Pies, and Green Pies is right on the back as Sutty, both McLarens are into the pits. Here comes Green Pies just on the back of Leon Fernie as they come up into turn 2. Leon Fernie goes to the outside and Green Pies will go down the inside and get the job done. Green Pies is now up a place. Will Leon Fernie use the slipstream and the better traction to try and get past Green Pies? But Green Pies is already gone. Has Matt got damage to the front wing, because he has lost out to the Mutts Nuts, and the Mutts Nuts now up into second. But it's Green Pies who Gary 131 who leads the way, and it's not often we see Gary leading a race this season, and he's off and away. The Mutts Nuts in second, Matt in third, Green Pies in fourth, Leon Fernie fifth. A. Smith has got a good job and up into 6th place position. Bryn still in 7th. DJ Phil up to 8th. 9th is Rabbit Joe. He's under pressure from Mazda in 10th. 11th place is PN Motorsport, and bringing up the rear are the two McLarens of Fury and Sutty. But Gary on his way to try and secure his first win here, as DRS has now been enabled. Can Matt catch on to the back of the Mutts Nuts? He gets the DRS here. He goes up to turn 2. Green Pies just in the background as well. He's got the detection zone. Matt goes around the outside and he will get the job done. Is the Mutts Nuts looking down the inside? He's not close enough at this stage, but he'll try and get a better run out the corner. He will now have the DRS and try and attack Matt back once again, as we got a yellow flag. That is Sutty Apex who's dropped it, and we got a safety car once again here, just as the Aston Martins get back at the front of the grid. So it's Gary at the front and Matt in second again. The Mutts Nuts in third, but Green Pies has now got himself up into 4th place position. Leon Fernie in 5th. 6th is A. Smith. 7th is Bryn. 8th is DJ Phil. 9th is Rabbit Joe. Mazda is in 10th place position. The PM Motorsport in 11th, and 12th is Fury. This will help Fury out because he will now get onto the back. As Gary still leads this race here. The question is, can Gary actually hang on to this race win? He's done everything right so far, and Matt having all the work to do here, keeping so many cars behind him. The Green Pies now up into 4th place. How hard does Green Pies need to fight? He needs to try and score points over Matt and Gary in the championship as best he possibly can. Leon Fernie in 5th place. He's having a decent round here as Bryn is into the pits and he's back out again. This is allowing Fury to gain a couple more places. He's up into 10th place, and all these guys just trying to catch on to the back of the pack. But all sorts of chaos going on here. I'm not sure what happened to Sutty. He must have dropped it on the rear of his car, and then massive damage to him in the final sector. Argent and Base, can we if you got a problem with it, then please head over to the stewards. Either myself or Peaceful, send in your footage and keep it out of the chat. As we have here Fury just now catching onto the back of the order, PM Motorsport in 11th as well, but Gary still leads the way at this precise stage. So Gary up into turn 2 as he goes. Matt in second. So a couple of messages coming in right now. So guys, get your prediction on who you think is going to take this win at this minute. It's looking good for this man, Gary 131. Can he finally take a race win here in F1? Can he stop his teammate from taking all the wins away? Can the Mutts Nuts do anything in third place, or can Green Pies take it to the leaders? Leon Fernie looking very good. As we will have to review what happened on lap 1. Safety car is in this lap once again. Gary will control the pace. Again, the lucky thing for Gary here is he has his teammate behind him, so he can hold up the pace that little bit longer if need be. So we're about to get underway here on lap 8. Already a few drivers out of this race. What can these guys do now as Gary will control the pace? Matt, his teammate, right behind him to go on board with Matt. Gary really holding them up. I'm pretty sure these two are in a party together. And Gary's gone. Gary's opted to go just on the penultimate corner. He's run a little bit wide and Matt's gone with him. These two plan that pretty good actually, as the Mutts Nuts is just a little bit slow going. That's going to allow Green Pies to get a run up into turn 1 as he goes down the inside of the Williams. The Alfa Romeo can now see the two Aston Martins as Leon Fernie's just behind them as well. The rest of the pack didn't really get going. DJ Phil nowhere near these guys at this stage. I'm not sure having the DJ Phil must have been asleep, but as we move up to the Mutts Nuts, he is now under pressure from Leon Fernie. Leon Fernie trying to find a way past the Williams as he possibly can, as DJ Phil is still defending from all of these guys behind. The Rabbit Joe, Bryn and PM Motorsport, all these guys going at it, but it's Gary and Matt who lead the way. But Green Pies is just behind them in the Alfa Romeo. The Aston Martins are trying to get away as quickly as they possibly can, but Green Pies is on his way. He's cleared the whole pack. He is finally caught up to the two Aston Martins. He's caught his championship rivals. What can he do in this position? Gary leads the way though, as DJ Phil is just dropping down the pack here. He's losing place by place. He's about to lose another place to Bryn here. They go down the back straight. DJ Phil now about to lose a position to Bryn. On the outside goes Bryn. He gets the job done as Rabbit Joe comes flying into penultimate corner as well and is just behind DJ Phil. DJ Phil pits and Rabbit Joe and PM Motorsport move up another place. As Green Pies now right on the back of the leaders here. Is he going to send it up into turn 2? Gary, Matt all fighting it out here. Matt will want to be nervous here because Green Pies is right there and he opts to have a look. And Matt gets a better run out the corner there. But the Mutts Nuts is nowhere near these guys. He's been dropped by the top 3 and these guys are on their way. As Green Pies goes a little wide there on exit. On entry, sorry, he hits the curb and gets a little bit stuck on there. He's right behind the two Aston Martins and he can't find a way through at this precise stage. Also, A. Smith run on the back of Leon Fernie, but it's the main 3 we are looking at right now. Matt is probably telling Gary, get out of my way. I need to get away from Green Pies as quickly as I possibly can. But Gary has every right to fight it out there as well. As Green Pies gets a great run out the final corner. DRS is enabled this lap. So Green Pies will have the DRS, but also so will Matt off of Gary. So Gary's going to become the sitting duck in a minute. As we go down the back straight now. Gary, down towards turn 2. Matt with the DRS right behind him, and he looks to go to the inside of his teammates. He doesn't do so. Gary holds on to that position. Green Pie's right there. He's right on the gearbox of Matt, but he can't find a way through. As Leon Fernie now starting to pressurise the Mutts Nuts in the DRS zone, but Matt goes down the inside of his teammate, and he get the job done. No, Gary hangs it out around the outside. He's going to fight it out as they're battling each other. Green Pies will be absolutely loving this as the two Aston Martins get really close to one another, and Green Pies can't find a way past, and it's the resume order they carry on in. Brilliant racing from these three as Gary and Matt are really battling it out for the top positions here, but they have to be smart here. They got Green Pies breathing down the neck. Green Pies really pushing the track limits there. He's really going as hard as he can on Matt here. This is as close as he's been to Matt up into turn 1. He looks to the inside. Matt defends the inside. Green Pies has a look. He changes his mind. He thinks better of it. Wants a better run out of turn 1. Runs a lot of track limits there, Green Pies. You've got to be under review for that, because you don't want to keep doing that one too many times. Gary goes to the outside. He's now allowing Matt through. No, Matt's taking his time here. He's leaving them vulnerable as Green Pies goes around the outside. If I'm honest, these Aston Martin boys are wasting their own time here. Gary gets the DRS, Green Pies gets the DRS, and that's just silly driving from the two Astons, if I'm honest, as Matt is getting really desperate here to keep Green Pies behind him, and he's made that mistake. Green Pies has managed to outsmart one of the Aston Martins, and Gary still leads this race. Meanwhile, A. Smith is on the back of Leon Fernie. He's looking to try and get past him, as Rabbit Joe and Bryn are also side by side into turn 3. Rabbit Joe trying to go around the outside of Bryn. They make contact! Rabbit Joe's round. PM Motorsport just avoids him and gets away with that one. We go back to the leaders. Green Pies down the inside into the penultimate corner. But this time, Matt's right onto the back of Green Pies. He's into the DRS zone. Gary goes to the inside to defend it. Matt goes around the outside. They're 3 abreast into turn 1. Gary gets the job done, and Matt goes right round the outside of the Alfa Romeo. What a job there from Matt. He retains second place, and it looks like because of that great run, he will take the lead of this race away from Gary. But Green Pies is back down the inside, and he gets the job done on Gary, and he looks like he might get the run on Matt as well. What racing from these two. Green Pies with the DRS will get down past both Aston Martins in one corner. But Matt looked down the inside of the third corner, but that is it. Green Pies has managed to outsmart both Aston Martins. Great racing from these guys. Brilliant precision as the virtual safety car has come out. Why is that? Have we got a car off somewhere? I'm not sure where, but Fury has managed to claw himself back up into 6th place position. Leon Fernie possibly, as Leon Fernie's gone a little bit wide. Has he got damage to the front of his car? I think he hasn't got a front wing there. There's no front wing on the front of that Ferrari. As we see there, Leon Fernie opting to pit, and that's going to allow Mazda upper place. Fury also with damage, so Fury into the pits. A. Smith still in 5th place with the Mutts Nuts in 4th. Gary in 3rd place. Matt right onto the back of Green Pies. He wants to give him a hard time here as the Mutts Nuts will actually claw a little bit back on these guys. All depends on how this virtual safety car will end. But with this virtual safety car, it gives me a chance to get a sip of drink. I'm not sure what Matt's trying to do here. Maybe try and play some games as we are now green and underway. Has Matt had the better getaway? Probably not. He's right there with Green Pies. He's touched the curb a little bit. He has a wobble. Gary's nowhere to be seen with these two, and that's allowed Green Pies to extend. Oh, Matt has a big wiggle, possibly overheated those soft tyres, and has now allowed Green Pies to disappear into 1st place position. As Matt and Gary run a little bit wide, the Mutts Nuts has now joined the party. He's now got DRS to try and catch Gary as quickly as he possibly can and join in with this fight, because all these guys are battling it out. Matt gets a great run out of turn 1. That's going to allow him to get DRS on Green Pies. He's going to the outside, but he's lifted. Matt has lifted. He wants the DRS for turn 2. Gary right there. These guys are working together to try and work on Green Pies. Green Pies right now trying to hold off the two Aston Martins as Matt looks down the inside of the Alfa Romeo. They rub wheels. As Smithy in the chat goes, go on little Smith. He's doing a solid job in 5th place right now. And is doing his best job to keep the others behind him. But there's this fight between the top 4 now as the Mutts Nuts has joined into this fight. But it's mainly Green Pies and Mate Imovic who are fighting it out for the top positions. But Gary's there and the Mutts Nuts ready to pick up any mistakes from the top 2. As Matt with the DRS is going up into turn 1. And he gets the job done. The Green Pies has to concede the place, but he will now get the DRS. Gary's got DRS as well, but he's just nowhere near these two. Maybe just not being able to use the battery power to his advantage. Green Pies looks to the inside, thinks better of it, but he's coming back down as Gary catches right onto the back of these two. And Green Pies with the DRS should stay in front, but Matt's looking to the inside now. But he won't get the job done as Green Pies gets it stopped into turn 3. What great racing from the top 4 right now. Even the Mutts Nuts just caught onto the back of Gary now. So the Williams is now starting to get involved here. The rest of the order is A. Smith currently in 5th place position with Mazda in 6th place on the hards. 7th is PM Motorsport, 8th is Fury, 9th is Leon Fernie, 10th is Bryn, 11th is DJ Phil, and Rabbit Joe bringing up rear in 12th. But it's Green Pies who leads the way, who's extended his gap to Matt right now and Gary. But the Mutts Nuts now really starting to pressure on Gary 131 as the Mutts Nuts goes a little bit deep into turn 1. He gets the DRS, Gary doesn't. So the Mutts Nuts looks like he's about to put some pressure on Gary 131. He looks to the inside of turn 2. Will he get the job done? No, he thinks better of it. A little bit loose on exit there for the Mutts Nuts, and he's not able to stick with Gary, but he does have the DRS zone. He's coming towards him for turn 3. Gary is staying to the outside. The Mutts Nuts looks to the inside. Takes a lot of curb there and is not able to get past Gary. Gary staying in 3rd, but here comes the Mutts Nuts. He gets the better run through the right-hander, but they make contact. Gary and the Mutts Nuts hit each other, and Gary and the Mutts Nuts are round. The Mutts Nuts can't get going again, and that's allowed A. Smith up into 3rd place position. Gary and the Mutts Nuts too busy tripping over one another, and that's allowed A. Smith now up into 3rd place position and onto the podium. And Green Pies now setting the lap times alight, going purple and setting the fastest lap of this race. The Mutts Nuts has dropped it once again. He is in the gravel trap. And what a great run he had, catching up to the top 3, and has now dropped it. And all the excitement has come to an end for the minute. But A. Smith now, Smithy. The brother's up into 3rd place position. Great stuff from him, and he's keeping it clean and consistent. But it's Green Pies who leads the way. Green Pies now trying to extend his gap to the rest of the pack. Matt in 2nd place with A. Smith in 3rd. 4th place is Gary 131. 5th place is Mazda. 6th is PN Motorsport. And 7th is Fury. 8th place position right now is Leon Fernie. 9th is Bryn. 10th is DJ Phil. Rabbit Joe in 11th. And the Mutts Nuts now pitted is in a 12th place position. As Green Pies now trying to extend his stint. Sad music for Gary and the Mutts Nuts. Happy music for A. Smith. Definitely so, Jamie Brazy. Gary with it all to do now to catch the Smith boy. And he's looking to try and catch Mate Imovic if he can. Matt is still just trying to stick with Green Pies, but Green Pies just seems to have the pace to extend the gap right now. As we go to Rabbit Joe, who's just lost the position to the Mutts Nuts. And the Mutts Nuts is now working on recovering his race. We go on board with Fury, who's trying to catch up to PN Motorsport. That gap is only a second, 1.2 seconds between each other. So Fury is on a mission to try and catch the Ferrari of PN Motorsport. Currently right now, only 2 Aston Martins and 2 Ferraris still remain here racing at the Red Bull Ring. And the only 2 teams that will score double points here at this precise stage. Oh, sorry, and the Williams, sorry. There's 2 Williams still on track as well. But Fury trying to hunt down PN Motorsport as quickly as he possibly can. Fury just bringing that gap down lap by lap, and he is about to hunt that Ferrari down. It's going to be McLaren versus Ferrari here. Fury in the DRS zone is now looking to try and make a move on him. There's also, we've got the Mutts Nuts looking to make a move on DJ Phil, but Fury not quite close enough. Let's go on board with the Mutts Nuts, who's right onto the back of the Red Bull of DJ Phil. This is for a championship point. DJ Phil is looking to defend, but the Mutts Nuts down the inside will get the job done into turn 1, as Fury and PN Motorsport are still going at it as well. PN goes a little bit wide. That gives Fury the move down the inside, and Fury is now up into 6th place position. Good racing from these boys as the DJ Phil comes back at the Mutts Nuts as they go up into the hairpin. DJ Phil down the inside pushes the Mutts Nuts a little bit wide there, but DJ Phil not able to get the traction, but he has got the DRS. Can he catch the Mutts Nuts back up and try and get him into turn 3? Down the inside, does he think about it? No, he can't do anything about it. He'll have to just back off, but the Mutts Nuts has gone wide. The Mutts Nuts has gone wide there, but that's allowed DJ Phil just to get a little bit closer once again, but not close enough. Rabbit Joe just watching these guys in the background. Oh, it's Rabbit Joe's just dropped it. He's lost the front wing, but he's managed to keep going. Virtual safety car, full-blown safety car here. Rabbit Joe has just caused a full-blown safety car, and he can't get himself back into the pits here. Poor Rabbit Joe. I think it's that car that's cursing him, personally. As Green Pies is coming into the pits. Does Matt come into the pits? That's the question. It's basically a free pit stop, but Matt is coming into the pits as well. So Green Pies, Matt, will Gary come into the pits? A. Smith, he should really be coming into the pits as well. This is perfect pit window opportunity. Everyone should take an opportunity, and A. Smith is into the pits. Gary 131, what does he do? He pits as well. There's a big enough gap for the Aston Martin crew to double stack. And Matt's on his way. Gary is only now just coming to the pit lane. Fury, what does he do? As Mazda stays out, he's on the hards. Will Mazda jump Matt here? As Matt is now exiting the pits. No, Mazda will stay behind Matt at this stage. So Matt has managed to stay ahead of Mazda. Fury now up into 4th place. A. Smith is up into 5th place position. PN Motorsport 6th. Gary was the biggest loser out of all that. He's in 7th place position. Leon Fernie currently in 8th. 9th is Bryn, and currently just going down the back straight, bringing up the rear. The Mutts Nuts, DJ Phil, and Rabbit Joe. Luckily, all these guys still on their lead laps, as we are on lap 22 here at the Red Bull Ring. As we see there, Green Pies leads this race now after taking the lead from Matt Tahimovic and Gary 131. So the choices of tyres. Green Pies has opted to go onto the soft tyre. Matt has gone to the medium. Mazda still on those hard tyres. He's been on those hard tyres for 19 laps. This is what's brought him up into 3rd place position. Fury currently in 4th place. 5th is A. Smith. 6th place is PN Motorsport. 7th is Gary 131. 8th is Leon Fernie, and 9th is Bryn. He's just about to catch the pack. The Mutts Nuts in 10th. He can regain his race from this point now. DJ Phil in 11th and Rabbit Joe in 12th place position. As we should be underway very shortly here. Guys, also, I want to hear your votes on who you think your driver of the day is tonight. So far, we've had a cracking start to this night. It's really going really well. Good racing from everyone so far. So at the minute, Green Pies is is the man who is leading this race. Penalty still to serve is PM Motorsport. Current stops at the minute, Fury's on 2 stops, as is A Smith, so is Bryn and Rabbit Joe. DJ Phil on 3 stops at the minute. As Green Pies has made 15 places, Matt's lost 1, Mazda has gained 12, Fury gained 7, 3 for A Smith, 2 for has lost to PM Motorsport, 4 for Gary, has dropped down to 7th place, 1 place up for Bryn, 2 places down for the Mats Nuts, 4 up for DJ Phil. Leon Fernie's dropped to 9, and a Rabbit Joe. Actually, what's happened to DJ Phil? He's just dropped behind Leon Fernie. I'm not sure why. As Rabbit Joe now finally joins the back of the pack. As we should hopefully get underway, as I see a Williams of the Mats Nuts is opting to pit. That's interesting. So the Mats Nuts into the pits. He's opting to put another set of softs on, and he's changing the front wing, so that's why he's opted to pit there. Front wing for the Mats Nuts, and away he goes. Back out onto the track as DJ Phil is retired. What has happened here? Let's try and go on board with the Mats Nuts as they come up the hill, and DJ Phil is out of this race. What has happened to DJ Phil? Has he just crashed into another car? So we're down to 11 runners, as the majority of the guys choose to put the AI in just to get them around, but DJ Phil is out of this race under the safety car. A safety car is in this lap. So Green Pies will now control the pace. What can Mazda do on those hard tyres? What can Fury do on the mediums? It's all going to be about Matt and Green Pies. Green Pies will want to make sure he gets a good launch away, as we're about to get underway here. As Matt has got the AI in at this point, he should really get the AI out of the car so that he can drive. As we're about to get underway here, Green Pies will go any second now. As Green Pies exits the final corner, Matt's right with him. This is going to cause chaos here, but Green Pies has gone. And we are underway here for the restart. And that was a bit of a late call there from Green Pies. Mazda's gone wide. That's allowed a lot of cars to go wide. Leon Fernie, one of them. PM Motorsport is another. All these guys have just gone backwards. And that restart was a little bit confusing. But it is Green Pies who leads the way. Matt in second. Fury now up into 3rd place. Mazda trying to fight back, but he's now losing places left, right and centre to Green. Gary's up a place up into 5th. A Smith has now lost a place to Gary. Bryn is just on the back of these guys as well. Mazda losing places left, right and centre in the hard tyre. Williams there as A Smith trying to battle out his good friend Gary, but Gary goes right round the outside and gets the job done. I got caught the grass, so Phil touching the grass I think, and has hit a car. Gary's now moved up into 4th place and has got past Mazda there in the middle sector. Mazda struggling on those hard tyres to get them fired up and on the way. Fury managing to be the big benefit out of that is now up into 3rd place. How far can he get his medium tyres going? But it's Green Pies who pulls the gap away from Matt at this stage. Matt with no answer, already dropping back. Leon Fernie into the pits, probably with front wing damage. As A Smith's now onto the back of Mazda. Mazda's just losing places left, right and centre on those hard tyres. 23 laps he's done. You see up ahead, Fury is now under pressure from Gary. Gary's going to go around the outside. Fury's going to fight it off in the inside. But Gary gets the job done right around the outside. A beautiful move there done by the Aston Martin of Gary 131. And is now caught onto the back of his teammate, Mata Imovic, who's struggling at this stage. I don't know why Matt is struggling. He just doesn't seem to have any pace. Gary's managed to dice his way through the pack and is now behind his teammate. Mazda still dropping back here as now the Mutts Nuts now gets past A Smith. A Smith losing places, but he goes back down the inside of the Mutts Nuts. The Mutts Nuts down the inside of him again. He makes the switch back. They don't quite make contact through there, and A Smith will hang on to that 7th place position. Oh, so we got another car off. That's Bryn. Bryn's into the wall. As Green Pie sets the fastest lap of the race at 106.4. And Bryn gets going again. As we've got DRS is now enabled. Green Pies leads this race. Matt 4.2 behind. And Gary 131 currently in 3rd place position. They've all got the DRS on the back of Matt right now. Fury looking to try and make a move on the Aston Martins now. As Fury's now got the DRS and trying to look to make a move on Gary 131. Can he get the job done? No. As he'll just have to wait a little bit longer. We got a yellow flag. Why we got a yellow flag? It's Green Pies. What's Green Pies doing? He's slowing down. He's been into the gravel. You can see the tyres are dirty. And Matt is now onto the back of Green Pies. But with Matt... Oh, Gary's dropped it! Gary's into the wall. Has Fury got away with that? Yes, he has. But Gary has dropped it and he's got damage to the front wing. We go back to the leaders. Whatever Green Pies has done, he's made a mistake. That's allowed Matt to get right on the back of him. And Matt has got DRS. Not too far behind them is Fury with DRS as well. Fury's strategy has worked beautifully going onto the medium tyre. He is now caught to the leaders. He needs to focus on catching on these guys. But Matt looking to get moved on Green Pies. He goes to the inside and he gets ahead of the Alfa Romeo. The last thing Green Pies will probably want is Fury coming involved as well, as Green Pies will get the DRS. He gets the run. As Matt goes down the inside, Fury's not too far behind these guys as well. Can Fury do anything about this? As we go back to A Smith and the Mutts Nuts, they're battling it out for 4th and 5th place as the Mutts Nuts back up into 4th place. And Mazda with the hard tyre still in 6th as A Smith is now fighting it back. He's coming back down the inside. Comes the Mutts Nuts. This is great fight as the Mutts Nuts has hit A Smith. And he's drifting around the corner and he's now lost out to his teammate. And Rabbit Joe is all the way up into 7th place. Before we go back to the leaders, Green Pies with a silly mistake, I think, by himself has allowed Matt to get back onto the back of him. And is now using DRS. Fury not too far behind either. He's just out of the DRS zone. He needs these two to start fighting one another. Matt once again with the DRS. He's right behind Green Pies. He should get the DRS all the way up into turn 2. He's going to wait until he gets towards turn 3, I think. He's going to stay behind the Alfa Romeo. He doesn't quite get the drive. Green Pies has gone down the road a little bit, but here comes DRS power. He should be able to send it down into turn 3. We're on board with Matt. He looks down the inside. Is he going to get the job done? He's going to try, but Green Pies sticks with it, and Green Pies runs a little bit wide. Matt's still there. Matt's fighting it out. He's going to try his best, but he stays on the outside. There's nothing he can do from this stage. Fury's dropped right back and is not able to fight it with these guys. And I'm struggling to talk because there's so much action here at the Red Bull Ring. Matt is not able to stick to Green Pies at this stage. As Bryn now dropped to 11th, Gary in 10th place position, PM Motorsport, 9th, 8th, Leon Fernie, 7th is Rabbit Joe, Mazda now in 6th place, just behind his teammate. As we've got a yellow flag, it's Joe, he's dropped it on his own, Rabbit Joe dropped it all on his own. Luckily no safety car is needed. Matt right onto the back of the Alfa Romeo of Green Pies, he goes to the outside. Will he then defend the inside? That is the question. Matt sticks to the outside. Green Pies should get better traction. He bumps Green Pies. Sorry, Green Pies bumps Matt there. Yellow flag in sector 2. Fury's dropped it. A Smith is back up into the podium positions. As Matt now takes the lead of this race away from Green Pies. as Rabbit Joe is into the pits. Just as these guys all start doing really well, they start to make one little mistake, and it's now Matt who leads this race. A. Smith in third, Fury in fourth. Fifth is the Mutts Nuts, and he's looking to try and make a move on Fury, as Mazda still going backwards on those hard tyres. Green Pie's looking to make a move on Matt into the penultimate corner, but can't get the job done. Rabbit Joe right onto the back of Bryn. PN Motorsport is trying to catch onto Gary, but I think Gary has jumped him, as the Mutts Nuts has got himself past Fury into the penultimate corner, and that's Mazda around in the background. Fury with the DRS now looking to try and get the job done as we go back to the leaders, as they've changed for the lead. It's Green Pies now leads this race, but Matt wanting to get a good drive, good exit, and he will have the DRS once again, as Fury is now back in front of the Mutts Nuts. We go back to the leaders, as Matt can't do anything about Green Pies. Green Pies has a much better exit through turn 3. And these two still going at it. The Mutts Nuts hanging on for 4th place. Fury losing out. Fury could do with another safety car so he can change his tyres possibly, as we are lap 31 of 40 still to go. As Matt is right onto the back wing of the Alfa Romeo of Green Pies. Oh, Matt has a slide through the penultimate corner. As Matt now right onto the back of Green Pies. Will he get the DRS? He's on the back wing of the Alfa Romeo. We continue this fight. Fury's also on the back of the Williams, as Matt has now gone into the lead. The Alfa Romeo stays behind. He goes a little bit deep, but he tries to get the better traction on the soft tyres. Matt is just hanging in there, as Green Pies will opt to go to the outside as he does so. And he gets the job done. Matt's going to stick it out on the inside though and try and get the better run through turn 3, but he doesn't do so. Green Pie stick to the outside, and away he goes into the inside of the next corner. The Mutts Nuts and Fury still going at it there, but A. Smith, what a drive he's producing right now, still on the podium position right now, and is keeping the Mutts Nuts and Fury at bay at this stage while they're too busy fighting one another. And at this rate, if Matt and Green Pies take each other out, A. Smith is in the prime position to take a race win here. Matt once again with the DRS. Green Pie seems to have just extended his gap a little bit more. It's all about who's looking after the battery power. Matt's got 78%. Green Pie seems to be much better on the battery uses here, and he saves a bit more. Green Pie goes a little bit wide, tries to get the better traction. Matt goes down the inside and causes a poor traction out the hairpin. That's going to allow him to stay ahead, as Fury goes down the inside of the Mutts Nuts, just misses his braking, and the Mutts Nuts now gets back ahead. And again, these two busy fighting one another is allowing A. Smith to just extend his gap. He's getting away. Quite a gap back to Leon Fernie, and there's loads of fights going on up and down the grid. Fury and the Mutts Nuts onto the grass. That's allowed Fury to get a little bit closer, but these two still swapping positions left, right and centre. I get excited every time, but it's now becoming the norm that the Alfa Romeo and the Aston Martin are just changing positions all the time. Matt once again with the DRS is right behind the Alfa Romeo, and again the McLaren of Fury just on the back of the Williams of the Mutts Nuts. The Mutts Nuts taking an interesting line into the final corner there. Now Mazda's onto the back of the Ferrari of PN Motorsport, but we go back to the leaders. Matt down the inside of Green Pies. He's looking to get the job done into the hairpin. Green Pies just needs a good traction, and he gets that. Matt gets a wiggle, and there's nothing he can do. Look at that. Green Pies just using enough battery power to stay ahead. I think Green Pies has managed to just outsmart Matt a little bit here with the battery uses and the DRS zone. Meanwhile, the Mutts Nuts is still losing time to A. Smith, and Fury is trying to find a way past on him. Meanwhile, Mazda is on the back of the Ferrari of PN Motorsport, and he looks like he's going to get the job done around the outside here, as PN doesn't really fight that off, as Mazda now goes up a place into 8th place position. The surprise for me so far is Gary has just been struggling on this race here. He had a great start to this round here at Red Bull Ring, and he's just not been able to fight back. Fury now just losing touch on the Williams of the Mutts Nuts. I think the tyres are now starting to hurt him as the Mutts Nuts runs a little bit wide in turn 1, but we go back to the leaders. Matt with the DRS, he's going to have to play this a little smarter. Battery power roughly the same. And again, Green Pies just has enough. Green Pies doesn't use his battery power. Matt does. He's using battery and DRS. He's looking down the inside, and he's not going to get the job done. Both of these guys going at it, and do you know what? I would love to be out on track right now, battling these two. But it is Green Pies out in front. Still Matt breathing down his neck. Fury still on the back of the Mutts Nuts. He's just lost his way a little bit to the Mutts Nuts as we go to Rabbit Joe, who's making a move for Bryn. This is for the final point of the championship. And Bryn defends the inside. Rabbit Joe trying to score points for Haas. And he goes to the outside of Bryn. Bryn defends the inside as he goes down into turn 3. Can Rabbit Joe get the job done? He can't. He's got the superior tyre, the soft tyre, but obviously doesn't last as long as the medium. The soft is working for Rabbit Joe. He's just touching the grass a little bit there. But he's down the inside of Bryn, and he looks like he's got the job done. But Bryn is looking like he's coming back. There's a yellow flag in Sector 2. Who is it? It's Matt. He's had a spin. And just as I say that, A. Smith is now catching on to the back of him. While still the Mutts Nuts and Fury have gained a little bit of time on A. Smith now. So they've brought that gap down a little bit to him. Now they've decided to calm down a little bit. But A. Smith now can see the back of the Aston Martin of Matihimovic. And that's allowed Green Pies to just disappear down the road. And Fury now onto the back of the Mutts Nuts. Can he finally find a way through past this Williams? No, he can't. Considering Fury's been on those tyres for 21 laps, he's doing a fantastic job, and he's really trying to extend this stint out for as long as he can. He has a little wiggle there. He's going to lose a little bit of time too, the Mutts Nuts. But here comes Fury. He's going to look down the inside of turn 2. Very late call there, but he decides to think better of it. He's just missed his braking ever so slightly, and that's allowed the Mutts Nuts just to stay ahead. Him having to race harder is allowing him to catch this man, A. Smith, in 3rd place. Can this man get his first podium of the season? And for AlphaTauri as well. That is the question. He's trying everything. But the Mutts Nuts and Fury are still going at it. So as these two are still fighting, A. Smith is just hanging in there. As Green Pies is into the pits. So soft tyres are done for him. He'll probably opt to the mediums now. As A. Smith will now go into 2nd place position, right behind Matt, who will be leading this race. Question is, where's this going to put Green Pies? He's had quite a slow stop, if I think there. He's going to be behind Fury and the Mutts Nuts. So if Green Pies does have some decent pace and he catches these two, then he's going to be stuck behind these two for a while. And A. Smith is still bringing that gap down to Matt ever so slightly. Matt just really struggling on these mediums at the minute, I think. Oh, A. Smith with a wiggle there. That's allowed the Mutts Nuts and Fury to get a little bit closer now. The Mutts Nuts can taste 2nd place now. AlphaTauri versus Williams versus McLaren. And with all that, Green Pies will be catching these two as well. These three, sorry, as well. As A. Smith opts to pit. He's coming in. He was obviously on the soft tyre, so he's done his stint. He's in. And he does not want to be fighting these guys. As Fury still 24 laps on the mediums. He's going a long way here. He's really pushing these mediums as far as they can possibly go. This is really going to help Fury's races. He's down the outside of the Mutts Nuts, and he gets the job done. The Mutts Nuts on the outside. He's trying to get better traction out the hairpin, and he does so, which is going to give him a better run on Fury. Fury around the outside, as Rabbit Joe has had a little off as well in the Haas. But the Mutts Nuts back up into second place. And right now, Matt's strategy isn't working because Green Pies is catching these lot really, really quickly. Let's move on to other fights. There's Mazda and Gary battling it out for 7th and 8th place position. 4 tenths separating these two. Mazda's been in and onto the soft tyre. Gary's on the medium tyre. Can Mazda find a way past while his teammate is still defending off that McLaren of Fury? Can Mazda find a way past Gary? 1-3-1. Fury looking like he's going up the inside of turn 1. He probably thinks better of it as Rabbit Joe has dropped himself right into the middle of this fight. Probably the last place he wants to be. That's going to help I think the Mutts Nuts get DRS. Mutts Nuts goes around the outside and Rabbit Joe stays well out the way. But Mazda now trying to find a way past the Aston Martin. We go back to Fury, who's within striking range. He goes to the outside, not really anywhere to go there. And will have to stay a little bit further behind the Mutts Nuts. The Mutts Nuts running a little bit wide onto the dirt as Green Pies clears the Haas. And there's a Ferrari off. Who is that? That is Leon Fernie. He's dropped it. His teammate's coming up right behind him. But Mazda now still on the back of Gary and can't find a way through right now. Okay, Green Pies has now caught Fury and the Mutts Nuts. This should be interesting now. How quickly can Green Pies clear this traffic? Fury knows he's coming. Fury doesn't even bother to defend the inside. Green Pies just showing that he's there. Green Pies will have to look for a position. He goes to the outside as the Ferrari of Leon Fernie is out of this race. He's dropped it. Green Pies currently... I think there's all Green Pies going right round the outside of Fury there and barges his way past. So now Green Pies onto the back of the Mutts Nuts. How much does the Mutts Nuts fight? He doesn't really fight. He lets the Green Pies through. And Green Pies has cleared those two relatively quickly. As they come up to the yellow flag zone where the Ferrari has gone off. Matt could have done with that safety car, but no chance there. As Mazda has now got past Gary 1-3-1. So can Gary get that position back? That's the question. It was taking Fury for ages to get past the Mutts Nuts. The Green Pies has done it within a couple of laps. And Green Pies is already onto the back of Matt. Matt is going to have to go extremely long on these tyres now. As he come up into turn 2 and Matt with no answer right now. He just has to let Green Pies go. Matt's going to struggle with traction as well and Green Pies retakes this lead on pace. And there's nothing that Matt can do. He gets the DRS zone, but how much is he going to have to fight? As Green Pies now retakes this lead and pulls away from the rest of the pack. As Fury finally gets past the Mutts Nuts, he gets the job done. But can the Mutts Nuts come back at him? Fury, 27 lap old mediums, and he's battling it out for 3rd place against the Mutts Nuts. We've dropped back to Gary once again, who's looking to try and make a move on the Mazda, but is not quite close enough to do anything about it right now. As now the Mutts Nuts opts to pit. The Mutts Nuts into the pits. Has he got any damage? That is the question. Where's this going to drop him into? There's no damage. He's now going onto the medium tyre. A. Smith, where's this put him? He now gets ahead of the Mutts Nuts after dropping onto the medium tyre. So some good laps from himself. And he is now ahead of the Williams. A. Smith looking solid right now. As Mazda has now stayed ahead of his teammate. Gary's right behind the two Williams now. Can he hinder these two a little bit to help Matt out? He's Gary's going to go around the outside as the Mutt bounces over the curb and gets the job done on Mazda. So Mazda allowing his teammate through there. Gary looking to the inside of Mazda. Can he get the job done? He's having a look. He's down the inside and he gets past Mazda. Mazda pushed out a little bit wide there. Fury now has caught onto the back of Matt. Even though he's got some really old mediums, he has caught Matt really quickly and has now got DRS. We go back to Gary and Mazda. They're too busy battling one another. Gary on much older mediums. And I think Mazda's softs are starting to go off a little bit. As Smithy's still in the comments saying, go on little Smith. And he's doing everything right so far, Smithy. He's currently in 4th place. Basically a net 3rd place at this stage. But Fury is trying everything he can to try and outdo him here. Fury with great pace at the minute. Caught onto the back of Matt. As Mazda now back up to 6th place. And Gary having to fight with Mazda here. The top 10 will now all score points, including Rabbit Joe, as Gary gets right onto the back of Mazda there. Can Gary get him into turn 3? No, he's just that too far behind. He gets really close on the brakes there. He's going to go right round the outside, but Mazda with the superior grip of the soft tyre will stay in front. We go back to Fury, who's brought the gap down to 4/10. Matt is really struggling here at Red Bull Ring, and Fury is absolutely flying right now. Matt cannot really afford for Fury to get past him. Matt will have to try and defend for his might on Fury. Fury goes down the inside of the hairpin. Will want the DRS as Matt gone deep a little bit there. He goes wide, and that's going to allow Fury to come down the inside. Fury with the DRS will try and get the run into turn 3. Fury down the inside. He looks like he's going to get the job done into turn 3. Matt's going to try and stick it out with him, but Matt can't do anything about it. Fury on 30 lap old tyres has passed Matt for 2nd place. And Fury now up into 2nd place position. What can he do about green pies? Can he do anything at all? But right now these two on a similar strategy, and it's Matt who has lost out to Fury here. Gary still calling all over the back of Mazda. As the Mutt Nuts now is catching on the back of A. Smith. As Matt and Fury are still going at it for 2nd and 3rd place position. Here comes Matt. He goes down the inside. There's nothing Fury can do. Fury just has to wait a little bit longer. He'll have to wait for turn 3. And try and get a better run out the corner. A. Smith now under pressure from the Mutt Nuts. But we go back to Fury, who has the DRS zone. And he goes down the inside and retakes that 2nd place position. The Mutt Nuts now gets ahead of A. Smith. A. Smith now with the DRS, I believe. No, he doesn't. They cross the beacon together. So that keeps A. Smith ahead. Sorry, the Mutt Nuts ahead. But A. Smith is going back down the inside of the Mutt Nuts, and they hit. Does A. Smith have any damage to the front wing? I don't think he has. I think he's managed to get away with that one. But he loses out to the Mutt Nuts. As Matt has got back in front of Fury. And currently Gary now dropping behind Mazda. And Mazda trying to extend his gap over him. A. Smith doing a fantastic job. He's just lost out to the Mutt Nuts, but the guys ahead of him still yet to pit. Fury and Matt still yet to pit, but Green Pies is long gone down the road. Even with a qualifying ban, this man is out in front. And Fury on 32 lap old tyres, still going. He's gone a long way round for this one. A. Smith is now within DRS zone of the Mutt Nuts. He just needs to stay within DRS zone of him, and he gets the DRS once again. Gary once again back in the DRS of Mazda. So everyone in a DRS kind of train right now. So they catch one another and they just keep swapping and changing positions. Gary, can he extend his lead as Fury's dropped it? Fury's made a mistake. He's lost the front wing. He's going to have to come in. Virtual safety car. That's going to help him out anyway, because everyone will have to stick to a particular delta, but he's gone a little bit deep. He should be able to get that back into the pits. Fury pushing a little bit too hard when he didn't need to, especially on 32 lap old tyres. He's into the pits though. Anybody else opt to pit at this stage? No, as Gary does actually. Gary's into the pits. What tyres does Fury choose to go on? He's onto the medium tyre and away he goes. Gary looks like he's opting to go to the softs as he does so. So your running order after lap 48 is Green Pies, who leads this race. Second place is Matahimovic. Third is the Mutts Nuts. Fourth is A. Smiths. Fifth place is Mazda. Sixth is Fury. Seventh is PN Motorsport. Eighth is Gary 131. Ninth is Bryn, and coming into the pits, and Rabbit Joe bringing up the rear in 10th place and will score that final point for Haas. What other dramas have we got coming this way? As Gary's now onto the back of PN Motorsport. This is your closest fight on track, as we are green, and the Mutts Nuts gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under virtual safety car. So that's going to allow A. Smith up into third place again, and the Mutts Nuts serves it straight away. He is into the pits, and A. Smith now is back up into third place. Everything is just falling into place for this guy, as Mazda is on 5th place and is trying to catch A. Smith as quickly as he possibly can. Fury will gain a place back on the Mutts Nuts. So the Mutts Nuts exits the pit. Fury coming down the back straight. It's going to be close, but I think the Mutts Nuts will stay ahead. As Fury goes into turn 1, flying into turn 1. The Mutts Nuts now exits the pits. Fury can see the Williams ahead, but he will stay behind, as Gary has now got ahead of PN Motorsport into turn 1. But the Mutts Nuts was looking so good for a podium there, and he's just gone and thrown away by speeding under the virtual safety car, and he has got Fury on much younger tyres coming at him. Mazda now up into 4th place. A. Smith currently in 3rd and just ahead of Mazda, doing a solid job at this stage. Guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and hit the bell to be notified, and make sure you get your vote for driver of the day. Let's get your chat in as well. I haven't heard from you guys very much this evening, so get your chat in as well. But so far, this has been a fantastic race here at the Red Bull Ring, and all 10 at the minute still going, and will all score points, including Rabbit Joe. So good stuff from all these guys. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday and Thursday night, as the Pro-Am and Pros will return on track for the next round of their championship fight at Ruapuna Park. So make sure you tune in for that. And not too far away as well is the third round of the World Endurance Championship, as we head to Fuji. And we go to the 19th will be the next round of the World Endurance Championship. We head to Fuji for a night race. In between here and then will be the British Grand Prix and Laguna Seca. The last chance for the pros and the Pro-Ams to take their double points. And if you boys want to take your double points, Pro-Am drivers, make sure you tune in and message me to let me know if you want to take it at Ruapuna or Laguna. And the pros, if you want to take your double points, you have to contact this man, Matahimovic, who's into the pits, and he's got front wing damage. That's allowing A. Smith now up into 2nd place position. The Green Pies with a 25-second gap out in front. So Green Pies leads this race from this man, A. Smith, in 2nd. Mazda in 3rd. The Mutts Nuts now up into 4th. Fury in 5th place position, while Matt is now exiting in 6th place position. Gary is just behind him. 20 laps to go here at the Red Bull Ring. Has Matt just lost this race to A. Smith, Mazda and the Mutts Nuts? Fury possibly as well. Fury can go to the end, but Matt on much fresher soft tyres. As Bethany in the comments saying, evening all. Hello Bethany, welcome to the chat. Not often we get to hear you on a Sunday, as Matt runs a little bit wide there. Can he hunt down Fury? Gary's not too far behind his teammate either. 2 lap older tyres. But Fury on those mediums. Can he make sure that Matt is behind him? But the main question is, A. Smith, currently in second place position, can he do 32 laps on his mediums and get to the end? He's got a lot of pressure of Mazda behind him. The Mutts Nuts, Fury and Matahimovic all coming for him. As Smithy says to Little Smith, settle down. He's in the perfect place right now. I think Mazda will have to pit. Those soft tyres will be struggling for him. Unless he's opting to go to the end. That's going to be an incredible run from him if he can do that. As PM Motorsport is into the pits, as Matt is now caught onto the back of Fury. As Fury's mum says in the comments, hiya Bethany. As we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. Who is that? I think that was the Mutts Nuts going a little bit wide. Fury losing a little time to Matt there. No, possibly actually Rabbit Joe in the middle of all this fight. As Green Pies has a little bit of traffic to clear of PM Motorsport. Busy down with Floyd, but he's not happy, bless him. And hey hun, how are you? Are you well? So yeah, Floyd probably not happy with the start of that race. He looked very good in our practice session, just a bit of bad luck as Matt goes down the inside of Fury and gets the job done. Fury now will try and come back at Matt with the DRS, but he doesn't get the DRS. He's just going to have to settle in behind Matt for a little bit longer. He'll get the DRS for the next straight. Oh, as Fury runs a little bit deep, that's going to allow Matt just to extend a little bit. And Fury with the DRS still not able to catch onto the back of Matt. So Matt will just hang on to that 5th place position. It's going to be difficult for Fury now to get past, especially with Matt on the softer tyre. Matt's next target is the Mutts Nuts. Lap 54 here of the Red Bull Ring, and Green Pies is looking comfortable for a race win here. Has he learnt his lesson? Has he learnt not to spin across the line? That is the question as Mazda comes into the pits. I knew he wouldn't be able to go the distance as the Mutts Nuts is now trying to lap Rabbit Joe, and he moves up into 3rd place after passing his teammate Mazda. Matt setting the fastest lap of the race on the softs. And he looks like he's going to get the job done on the Mutts Nuts. He goes around the outside, but the Mutts Nuts is going to fight it back. He is down the inside, and he's going to try and stick with him as best he can, but he cannot do so. And Matt will get the better traction and will pull away. This will allow Fury to get back onto the Mutts Nuts. As Mazda and Gary are carrying on their fight as well. Gary looking to the inside, but can't get the job done. And he'll just have to sit behind the back of that Williams that little bit longer. Big pressure now for A. Smith as Matt has cleared the 2 Williams and McLaren, who was busy fighting one another. He is now trying to chase down A. Smith, who I've got to say has done a fantastic job here at the Red Bull Ring, and he just needs to keep it on the black stuff. That's all he has to do, as Matt and the Mutts Nuts and Fury are coming at him so quickly at this stage. The Mutts Nuts and Fury batting it out once again for 4th and 5th place. Fury down the inside of the Mutts Nuts. Will he get the job done? No, they make contact. And Fury's gone round. Can Fury keep it out the wall? He just does so. And Fury is about to get back underway, and the Mutts Nuts will stay ahead. Where is Mazda? He is coming out the final corner. He should get the run on Fury. Fury a little bit slow. Fury will not be too happy about that one. Smithy says Matt will catch Little Smith. I really don't know, Smithy. Matt seems to be struggling here at the Red Bull Ring as Mazda now with the DRS. They're trying to look to get the move done on Fury. He goes to the inside. He sends it down the inside and Mazda gets the job done. Fury trying to get the cut back, but he can't do so. Mazda on those younger, fresher softs will now extend the gap to Fury. As the Mutts Nuts just trying to stick to the back of Matahimovic as the Mutts Nuts is into the pits. And why is he into the pits? I'm not sure why. Well, we're going to put the softs on. Matt is bringing that gap down to A. Smith ever so slightly. Bit by bit, he is catching him. Can A. Smith hang on? At this rate, he will catch him relatively quickly. As Gary and Mazda now move up in place as the Muttnuts exits the pit. Fury's into the pits once again with damage to the front nose of his car. And away he goes. The Muttnuts put a set of mediums back on again, so maybe he's had front wing damage possibly. Who knows? He runs a little bit wide there. So right now, A. Smith, with a brilliant drive from him, has really fought this out and has come up with a beautiful strategy to stay ahead of the rest of the pack. But he has got Matt coming to hunt him down. As Fury's mum says, all good here. Lovely, as she's still recovering from a hangover. To go on board with Matt. A. Smith still with a lot of battery power that he could use, so when Matt does catch him, he could use the battery power to stay ahead of Matt. But Matt, on those much better softs, will catch him relatively quickly. So this is going to be an interesting fight as the Muttnuts is bowing out with Gary. Gary staying ahead. Gary on the soft tyres. The Muttnuts on a fresh set of mediums. Can he find a way past here? As PM Motorsport is now up to 7th place after passing Fury. The Muttnuts missing his braking zone by quite a bit there. Runs a little bit wide. And the Muttnuts can't find a way through. And the Muttnuts trying everything he possibly can to catch Gary and find a way through if he possibly can as they come through the final sector, sector 3. And the Muttnuts trying to take more speed into penultimate corner to try and get the DRS zone on Gary. Gary runs a little bit wide on the final corner. The Muttnuts right behind him as they come up to turn 1. Muttnuts wants to get a good run out the corner and he tries to do so. He's in the DRS zone of Gary. Gary is in front. Gary will want to try and hold him up for as long as he possibly can. There's a yellow flag in the final sector. That is Bryn currently off at this stage, but he gets going once again. Last thing these guys will want is a safety car at this stage, especially Green Pies. That will bring the pack together once again. But the Muttnuts gets past of Gary, but Gary's going to stick it out around the outside. He's going to try and keep it pinned, but the Muttnuts looks like he's got the superior grip. And around he goes. Gary 131 loses another place there, down to 6th place position. Matt has now brought the gap down to 1.3 to A. Smith. A. Smith trying everything he possibly can to keep this 2nd place position. Matt has only got 12 laps to catch him. Is Matt going to run out of tyres before he gets to him? A. Smith starting to use a bit more battery power. He knows that Matt is coming. Matt got a bit of battery power yet himself. 9 tenths now separating these two. Matt is close to the DRS zone. He wasn't close enough to get the DRS. As I've just seen Fury's mum's comment there, a little bit sick after seeing her bank account, as Gary gets a run on the Muttnuts. He's on the outside as he comes to turn 3. He gets right onto the back of the Muttnuts as the Muttnuts goes to defend the inside, but he's going to go right around the outside, Gary, and he gets the job done. But the Muttnuts wanting to get better traction, but he can't get in front of Gary. And he drops behind him. As Matt is now onto the back of A. Smith. A. Smith in the middle of the road defending his line. Matt has got to pick his opportunity to find a way past. He gets the DRS zone. A. Smith, no real fight in him there. He'll know he'll get the DRS zone for the next straight, so he'll try and stick to the back of Matt if he possibly can. He's got a 15-second gap over Mazda. So either way, we're going to be possibly speaking to A. Smith if he keeps it on the track. He's got 11 laps to go. And he's doing a fantastic job at this stage. as they go down into the slower part of the track. And it's A. Smith has been overtaken by Matt. Gary is back on the back of the Mutt's Nuts as they come down to turn 3. Gary looks to try and send it into turn 3, but he changes his mind and he'll stay on the outside. He goes a little bit wide, and Gary losing a massive amount of time to the Williams, and the Williams pulls away from him. A. Smith there just sticking onto the back of Matt a little bit. He's just sticking to the DRS zone, but he's not quite in it. He's just not able to stick with Matt at this stage. But Green Pie still leads this race with a 37-point gap, 37-second gap to Matt. Was now gone to 38. Matt in second place with A. Smith in third. Mazda in fourth place position. A good recovery from the back of the grid. The Mutt's Nuts in fifth. Sixth place is Gary 131. Seventh is PN Motorsport. Eighth is Fury and is catching PN relatively quickly. Ninth place is Bryn, and in 10th place is Rabbit Joe, and all these guys will be scoring points. As the closest fight is Fury and PN Motorsport. Fury comes up to turn 2. Fury looking to try and make a move on PN, but he goes a bit deep into the hairpin. He goes a little bit wide, and he just holds it together, Fury. And that gives PN a little bit more time to defend and a little bit more battery power to save for him, as Fury's desperately trying to catch onto the back of him. Smithy in the comments saying, come on Little Smith, keep it in third, and he's doing everything right, Smithy. Little Smith looks like he's on his way to a podium. I'm not going to curse him just yet, but he's doing everything right. And Fury losing out to PN Motorsport. Guys, let's get your votes in for driver of the day as we're coming towards the end of this race. Mazda up in fourth place, a good drive from him. A. Smith, a fantastic drive for himself. Matt, not quite been on it tonight. Not quite at the pace here at the Red Bull Ring. But nonetheless, a good recovery to second place position. The Green Pie is coming from last on the grid to come and win this race so far. And it's going to take an absolute miracle for anything to happen now. If like a safety car would probably back the pack up to Green Pies, and Matt being on the softer tyre probably would help him. I don't think A. Smith wants a safety car at this stage. He is quite happy with no safety cars at this stage. Mazda in fourth place position. Fifth is the Mutt's Nuts. Williams scoring decent here with both Mazda and the Mutt's Nuts in fourth and fifth place. Gary currently in sixth place position. The man who was leading the early part of this race has dropped down. As Smithy says, Little Smith a driver of the day. Already won for Little Smith there. Fury currently in seventh place, trying to recover from his little incidences earlier on. PN Motorsport currently in eighth. Excuse me. As Fury's mum says, yeah, I'll definitely be saving plenty to spend that weekend at Donny. As Bryn is now onto the back of Rabbit Joe. This is your closest fight now. This is for the final points position. Bryn on the softer tyres. Can he do anything about Rabbit Joe? Finally, it's nice to see Bryn get to the end of the race. He's had poor luck getting involved in incidences and little mistakes in previous races. But at this rate, he is going to finish this race at the Red Bull Ring. As Bethany in the comments says, driver of the day, Little Smith as well. So 2 for Little Smith at this stage. Mazda's coming back at him, but I don't think Mazda's got enough. As Bryn's still trying to find a way past on Rabbit Joe as they go up into turn 1. But they got Green Pies coming up to lap him. Bryn looking all over the place to try and get down the inside of Rabbit Joe. He gets it done, but he misses braking by a mile. And that's allowed Rabbit Joe back down the inside and back in front of him. And Rabbit Joe gets the DRS as well. I feel a little bit cautious as the race leader is now coming up to lap these two. And Bryn there with a little wiggle. thought I heard a car into the gravel then, but as the blue flags are now being shown for Bryn, but he's in the middle of a fight with the Haas of Rabbit Joe. As Bryn looks like to make the move on the penultimate corner, and he's going to try it, as Rabbit Joe will have to concede the place and lose out to Bryn there, but he should get the DRS zone down the main straight, but that's going to allow Green Pies to come through as well. So Green Pies with the DRS will clear Rabbit Joe, but Rabbit Joe's in the middle of a fight and Rabbit Joe goes wide. There's a little bit of track limits there from Green Pies. As now Green Pies clears the rest of that traffic. Rabbit Joe dropping behind Bryn, but Rabbit Joe, oh, he just drops the rears. He was just catching Bryn, but unlucky there from Rabbit Joe. Question is here, Mazda is now lapping pretty quickly and he's now starting to catch A. Smith ever so slightly. Can Mazda catch A. Smith towards the end of this race? A. Smith just got to hang in there. 25 lap old mediums. He's on to lap 66. He's only got 5 to go. Come on, little Smith. You could get your first podium here as Mazda is trying to hunt you down. The number 27 of A. Smith trying to extend his gap to Mazda. Mazda, though, is coming at him really quickly. 5 seconds a lap. He's got to catch him within a second a lap and then pass him. So, A. Smith, you just got to hang in there, bud. There's not long left of this race. Mazda's coming at you, but how much tyre is Mazda going to have left? That is the question. This is going to be tight towards the end. A. Smith has got to start using his battery power, start extending that gap a little bit so that Mazda cannot catch him. Mazda is going to be trying everything in his power to do so. As Bryn is just sticking to the back of Green Pies at the minute, so maybe Green Pies has just eased off a little bit. But right now, Mazda still trying everything he possibly can to get on this podium. Lap 67, 4 to go. 4 seconds is the gap. This is going to be right down to the wire between 3rd and 4th place. A. Smith still with that advantage at this stage. Mazda still trying everything he possibly can. The Mutts Nuts look like he's going to hang in there for 5th place. Gary 6th, Fury 7th. 8th is PM Motorsport, 9th is Bryn, 10th is a Rabbit Joe, but your top 3 at the minute is Green Pies leads away, Matahimovic in 2nd, and A. Smith still in that 3rd place position. It's still 3 seconds, possibly a bit more here. Mazda is coming. As Green Pies is now coming up to a lap, Gary 131. There is Mazda in the background. It's 3 seconds when they cross the line. This is going to be so tight towards the end. How easy is Gary's going to make Green Pie's life here? Is he just going to let him through? As Gary gets the a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags. And he finally lets Green Pies through, or does he? He finally does, yes. And Gary now allows Green Pies after the blue flags had gone through. But now A. Smith is gap to Mazda 2.2. It's coming down. Smithy, I don't think you want to be watching this right now because he's being caught by Mazda lap by lap. Oh, Mazda just touched the curb there. As we got a yellow flag in Sector 2, Fury is in the wall. He's got to get going as quickly as he can, and he loses out to PN Motorsport. Mazda 2.2 now. And Mazda goes a little bit wide. He's starting to lose grip in the softs. A. Smith, 2 laps to go. Sorry, well, technically 3 laps to go. And it's 2.1. Mazda is coming. A. Smith has got to make that the widest AlphaTauri going as Green Pies is into the pits. He's probably going to put the soft tyre and go for fastest lap. But the fight we want to keep an eye on is A. Smith and Mazda. There is Mazda. As Green Pies now starts a lap 70. And he's going to try and take the fastest lap on the last lap. There's A. Smith. There is Mazda. Oh, this is going to go right down to the wire. Mazda has just been creeping on that gap lap by lap. He has just been slowly building his way to the back of A. Smith. A. Smith, really don't want to see him off the podium, but Mazda is coming for him rapidly here. As Fury's into the pits, can he still fastest lap it away from Green Pies as well? So towards the line they go. A. Smith is now starting his penultimate lap. 2 laps to go, bud, and you will get a podium here. Fury comes out just ahead of these two. Fury will stay out the way. A. Smith gets through. As Mazda should get DRS off the back of Fury here. Jeez, come on, little Smith, says Smithy. Mazda is coming. He's in a second. He's got DRS, I think, because of Fury. Fury's going to be in the way of these two, but Fury trying to stay out the way, but he holds Mazda up ever so slightly. That's going to allow A. Smith just to extend his gap a little bit. Fury wants to get ahead of A. Smith because he wants to go for fastest lap. Green Pie starts the final lap of this race. Oh, it's going to be so tight. My heart is racing for A. Smith right now. If I was A. Smith, I would let Fury go and use his DRS as they go into the penultimate corner. But at the minute, it's using him as protection. Fury, a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags. He needs to get out of the way. Mazda's got front wing damage. That's probably sealed the deal, I think. Mazda trying to clear Fury as quickly as he could as Rabbit Joe's gone off, and Mazda's got front wing damage. That should hopefully hold on for A. Smith. But it is going to be Green Pies who will take another race win. Will he take fastest lap of the race? He comes out the final corner. Green Pies wins in a Red Bull. And he goes and takes the fastest lap of a 1:04.8. Green Pies takes another win here at Simplay Motorsport. As we go to Matt, who's coming through the middle sector. But Mazda is still trying everything he can to get onto the back of A. Smith. And I don't think he'll do it. As Matt comes into the final corner now, Rabbit Joe allowing the two Aston Martins through, as Gary will come towards the line and Matt takes second place. Gary comes home for 7th. Green Pies, Gary will take 7th, Fury 8th, as A. Smith comes into the final corner and takes his first podium here at Simplay Motorsport. As Enprava says, Smithy for driver of the day. Mazda will come home for 4th. Fury with a 5-second penalty, unserved penalty. The Mutts Nuts will come home 5th. PN in 6th. 7th is Gary. 8th is Fury. And coming home around the final few corners now is 9th place Bryn. And 10th place goes the way of Rabbit Joe. And the top 10 all score points here. But it is Green Pies who takes the win here tonight. And by a majority vote, A. Smith is going to take driver of the day. He's also going to take my driver of the day. The game says Green Pies, but I think driver of the day has to go to A. Smith. And I will now get the top 3 into the party now so we can have a chat with them. But nonetheless, a brilliant stuff from A. Smith there to get himself on to his first podium here. And hopefully, Matt, if Matt's listening, can you just let A. Smith know how to set up his mic settings so we can hear him, as we will get the top 3 in now. But it is Green Pies who takes the win here, with Matimovic in 2nd. As Green Pies joins the commentary box, but it is Green Pies who is your race winner and takes fastest lap of the race at the end level, 1:04.8. Second place is Matimovic. 3rd place is A. Smith. 4th is Mazda. 5th is the Mutts Nuts. 6th is PM Motorsport. 7th is Gary. 8th is Fury. 9th is Bryn. And 10th and the final point is Rabbit Joe. 11th for Leon Fernie. 12th for DJ Phil. 13th for Sutty. And 14th for Go 10 Duffin, all caught up in their first lap incident. D-Biggs and Argent as well. We're just waiting on A. Smith to join the party, and we'll just see if the tables have just been updated as well.
Yes.
They have been. So just as these boys get there, all their settings set up so we can hear them on the stream, I'll just refresh the tables, and I think it's still Matt who leads the way at this stage. It is Matimovic who leads the way with 131 points, but as that gap has been dropped down to 53 points with Green Pies in second. Third is Mazda. Fourth is Gary. Fifth is PM Motorsport. Sixth is Emo Guy. Seventh is Sutty. Eighth is Fury. Ninth is Monkey Boy. 10th is the Mutts Nuts. 11th is A Smith. 12th is D Big. 13th is DJ Phil. 14th is KLF. 15th is Argent. 16th is Goten Duffin. 17th is Leon Fernie. 18th is Rabbit Joe, and Bryn bringing up the rear in 19th place position. And the team title looks like this: Aston Martin well out in front at the minute with 206 points, 113 points ahead of Williams in second. Third is Haas. Fourth is Alpine. Fifth is McLaren. Sixth is AlphaTauri. Seventh is Alfa Romeo.
Alfa Romeo, that is right. It says none, but they are on 51.
Okay, Alfa Romeo in 7th place. 8th is Ferrari. 9th is Red Bull, and 10th is Mercedes. And we do have the top 3 in with us, and our first time hearing him on the podium is the Little Smith this time. And congratulations, mate, on the podium. For a second I thought you were going to take second, but third nonetheless. How does that feel for you, mate? You did a fantastic job there tonight. You really stayed out of trouble, and you played the strategy brilliantly. And just talk about the strategy. You look like you just had no issues, and you were on the decent tyre at the right time. Just seems to all fall in place. Well, awesome stuff nonetheless, and it's nice to hear you on the podium. And also, you got driver of the day today. How does that feel? All the guys watching have given you driver of the day, and myself. You really did put on a great show tonight. Well, next week we head to Silverstone. How would you feel about Silverstone as the next round? You sound just like your older brother. But nonetheless, mate, congratulations on the podium, and good job on driver of the day as well. As we move on to the second place man, Matt, not quite the night for you. You weren't really looking forward to this after a little practice session we'd done, but nonetheless, second place behind Green Pies. He just seems to have the better of you tonight, didn't he?
He just had the better pace tonight. He was just a quicker guy. Well done to him for the win. Cracking little battle earlier though, me and Gary. That was absolutely brilliant. I enjoyed that. It was a good race. I dropped it behind him, trying to play the DRS game a little bit too well at turn 2, turn 3, whatever you want to call it, and lost the rear. And that kind of ended that, and it was a case of get to the end. I had a bit of wing damage after that spin, so everybody else started to catch up to me, and it was just a case of get to the end on the tyres, pit, get the softs on, and go there, see what we had to do. We had to make up places at the end with about 20 laps to go, and we did just that. But good race tonight, good pace from myself, just not enough pace tonight, and that's pure and simple it. He did the better job.
Well, nonetheless, you still lead the championship. I think we're probably at getting near the halfway stage of the championship, and Green Pies is catching you. He is bringing that gap down, but what do you need to do to slow him down?
I just need to outscore him. Just a couple more races to outscore him, and it's then going to look, like we're in the right place. But at the minute, he's doing the better job. He's won the last couple of races. He's took another couple of wins, and fair play to him. He's done a fantastic job when he's been here. Obviously, bar Melbourne, he's every race he's turned up, he's won, and I've just got to start to outscore him. And I missed an opportunity there last week at Canada. I feel like I had the better of him there. Missed an opportunity then. A couple of tracks coming up that I enjoy, so we've just got to. Cota's looking out for Cota. I think Cota could be a good one. He knows why.
But we do go to the home of F1. We go to Silverstone, the British Grand Prix. How do you feel you're going to do there?
Yeah, again, similar thing. I think it's going to be a case of see what happens on the day. If he comes with pace like he's had tonight, he's going to be tough to beat. If we have the pace like we had at Canada, then it's game on, and I feel like I've got the advantage over him. But, we'll see what happens. Silverstone could rain. So, you know, that bit of rain in qualifying today, you look at that, if he wasn't out there on track straight away, you was done. I got one lap in qualifying and took the pole.
Yeah.
If that happens again next week, who knows? It's anybody's game. Silverstone, a long track, a lot longer than this track. So, anybody's game. And with this grid at the moment, you don't know what could happen. Feel for Floyd tonight, because obviously you know from practice earlier that Floyd had good pace, and I feel for Floyd tonight.
Yeah, the little practice session we had, Floyd even gave me a run for my money, so it's a shame for Floyd, but also Gary as well. Both of you boys were looking very strong at the start and just didn't fall in Gary's way tonight, did it?
I think Gary just got caught up in incidents and he just ended up getting bits of damage, just started pushing too hard. He was, you know, we had a cracking battle us three at the front, and then I know he was fighting with the Mutsnuts and got a bit of damage from that, and I think his race just then just kind of spiraled out of control. But look, nonetheless, he scores more points. We come away with, we've got 113 over Mazda and the Mutsnuts now in the constructors. So, you know, came on still in that, but we're sitting pretty comfortable in that. Mazda and the Mutsnuts have got to do something massive to take points away from us there.
Well, nonetheless, mate, great second place for yourself, and you
Cheers,
head
boys.
towards Silverstone and also to Ruapuna on Wednesday night as well. And we have got the race winner in with us as well. And Green Pies, another race win, but you had to do it the hard way with no qualifying. With a qualifying ban, you had to start from the back of the pack. You had a great lap one, and after that, it was just picking them off one by one.
Yeah, it was really good. I'd say my favourite part definitely has to be the battle between myself, Gary, and Matt, where they were like a roadblock in front of me.
It definitely was a great fight between you three, and a bit like playing a bit of chicken between one another. One of you wouldn't want the DRS at one point, then you did want the DRS. It was really very much a mind game, but as soon as the strategy changed and Matt went to the medium and you went to the soft, it seemed like that you had the edge, especially with traction.
Yeah, definitely, because even whenever I was on softs, I couldn't lose them. Once he got DRS, he had DRS, so I kind of just had to play mind games and tease him a bit, going into the corners, especially turn 3. I knew he liked to go on the inside, so I'd go around the outside.
Well, you have brought the gap down to Matt with a race win and a fastest lap as well. The gap is coming down very slowly. Do you think you can catch him in time, and what do you need to do to stop Matt from winning this title?
I was actually doing the maths earlier, and I think it is 100% possible for me to still win this, even if we just keep doing 1-2s. Yeah, so I'm dreading Kota, but I'm hoping next race that it rains and maybe he can bin it and I can take a win.
Well, we do go to Silverstone. How do you feel at the home of F1, the British Grand Prix? Do you think that's going to more favour you or Matt? Especially if it's dry, who do you think is going to be the stronger driver?
If it's dry, I'm going to say Matt's probably going to be the stronger driver, because I have horrendous pace around Silverstone in the dry, but in the wet, I think that's my place.
Fair enough. Well, congratulations on the race win and the fastest lap as well. But that is it here for us at Simplay Motorsport. Congratulations to the top 3. We are done here. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday and Thursday night, as the Pro-Am and Pros will be back on track for the GT3s at Rapuna Park. And also tune in for next week, as we are at the British Grand Prix, the home Grand Prix for most of the guys here at Simplay Motorsport. So make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified for when we are live. But we are back live once again on Wednesday night at 8 PM. Join myself and Kelly as we'll be watching the Pro-Ams hit the track. But for myself and all the F1 guys here tonight, it's good night.